It's the Growing for Market podcast.
A lot of people don't take the time to warm up to their audience. There's a metaphor that's used a lot in the marketing space of dating, and that marketing is a lot like dating. Too many farmers are meeting a person for the first time and getting down on one knee and asking them to marry them and make a big purchase, right? When really what they should do is ask them, can I have your number? Can we go out on a date first? Right? Can we get to know each other a little bit? Can I meet your parents? There's all these other steps that happen before the big ask. And if you don't honor those, it feels icky. That's when it feels salesy. So we build these other structures in place in our business to move the customer slowly along to hit these milestones so that when they get pitched for the first time, it feels okay to them. It feels okay to you. You do it with confidence because you know you've delivered so much value on the front end that it feels absolutely good to say, I know I can help you. This is a product that will meet your need and will solve your problem. And then the customer feels okay about it too. And many of them, more of them will convert because you honored the process of building the relationship.
Hello, and welcome to the Growing for Market podcast, where we talk about growing, marketing, and the business of growing vegetables and flowers for local markets like farmers markets, CSAs, farm stands, and local wholesaling. I'm Andrew Mefford, your host and the editor of Growing for Market magazine for 34 years, the magazine for flower and vegetable market farmers. If you're enjoying the podcast, just wait till you see the magazine. Go to growingformarket.com for more. Also, if you could give us a follow and a rating, it really helps other like-minded people find the podcast. And now, let's take a minute to hear from our sponsors. It's with their generous support that we can bring you the podcast for free. I don't know about you, but I got into farming to grow food, not to spend my time creating pack lists, writing newsletters, responding to emails, or maintaining web stores. If I could spend less time on my phone and computer and more time farming, that would be a win. Enter Farmhand. Farmhand is the only all-in-one virtual assistant built by and for CSA farmers. It takes care of the admin, managing orders, customer communications, and automating tedious tasks so you can get back to doing what you love. On average, Farmhand saves CSA farmers 6 hours a week. That's 6 hours you could spend with your family, out in the field, or simply taking a breather. So, what would you do with an extra 6 hours? Now's the time to get your systems ready for next season. Learn how Farmhand can help at farmhand.partners/GFM. That's farmhand.partners/GFM. I am so excited to welcome Bootstrap Farmer as a sponsor of the podcast. I've known them for a dozen years, and if anyone tells you nothing is made in the USA anymore, well, they're headquartered and warehoused in Paris, Texas. They make their own all-metal, all-inclusive greenhouse frames of steel made in the USA and fabricated in Texas. And their heavy-duty, reusable propagation and microgreens trays are Midwest-made. With a complete range of supplies, they have just about everything for propagation and growing, including heat mats, ground cover, frost blankets, silage tarps, irrigation, and trellising. Want to color code your seed starting flats? They've got heavy-duty trays that will last for years in a full range of colors. Great for keeping farm seedlings separate from retail or just for fun. And they have an experienced team of growers to support everything they sell. If you've heard of the NRCS High Tunnel Initiative providing grants for hoop houses, but have been put off by the paperwork, Bootstrap Farmer has a guide that will walk you through the application process so you can get your hoop house funded this winter. For all that and more, check out Bootstrap Farmer at bootstrapfarmer.com. We all know that to a farm of any size, your soil is your most steadfast partner, an asset worthy of investing in. Since 1972, Ohio Earth Food has been the go-to source for soil testing, consulting, as well as the highest performing and most cost-effective granular and liquid fertilizers, seed starting soils, foliar sprays, and disease and insect controls. All approved for use on organic farms. They deliver them right to your farm, too. Don't count on luck this year. Start your seeds in their Seed Catapult potting soil and put their Revita fertilizers in the soil before you plant, and rest assured that your plants will have all of the nutrients, stimulants, and energy for whatever comes their way. These natural blends utilize compost, kelp, and humate and are low salt index safe for high tunnels. Feed your soil and let your soil feed the plants. Visit them at ohioearthfood.com, now with branches in Ohio and Wisconsin. ohioearthfood.com. Today, I have the pleasure of welcoming Corinna Bench to the Growing for Market podcast. Corinna runs Shared Legacy Farms in Ohio with her husband, Kurt, and she also runs MyDigitalFarmer, where she shares what she has learned from marketing her own farm's CSA program with other farmers through programs like Farm Marketing School, Accelerator Group Coaching, and a CSA Quick Start course. She also has the My Digital Farmer podcast. So if you're looking to up your farm marketing game, you can find her podcast wherever you are listening to this one. Okay, without further ado, welcome to the podcast, Corinna.
Thank you, Andrew. It's so great to be here.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to talk because I've talked to a few people who have worked with you and spoke very highly of working with you, which made me think maybe we should get Corinna on the pod. Because obviously, marketing is an important part of establishing and growing a farm business, but the skill sets that make a good farmer often don't include marketing. Okay, from trying to do my homework for this interview, I know you run a CSA vegetable farm in Ohio with your husband. Can you tell us a bit about the farm?
Sure. So we are a certified organic farm, and we have a 400-member CSA. Our season runs from June through end of October. So it's about 18 weeks long. We have a little bit of growing that goes on the shoulders of the season. And that's our main kind of gig. We do have a wholesale operation as well that brings in about 40% of our income. But we started in 2008. So we've been in business now for, 15, 16 years. My husband is in charge of the production side of things, the operation. And I was sort of handed the role of the sales and the marketing and customer service and taking care of all of those members. And we just have an incredible community. I would say that our growth over the last 15 years has been really tremendous. I mean, at first we didn't really know what we were doing, like many farm owners when they first start. But then over time, we just had some really patient customers who stayed with us. And now we have a loyal customer base. About 80% of them, 85% of them come back every single year. And that makes for a tight family, right? So our kind of mission is that we're changing the way people eat. And we're doing a lot of coaching in terms of here's what to do with these vegetables. Here's how you can train your kids how to eat better. Here's how you can become healthier. That's a big part of what we do on the business.
Yeah, that's great. And that's a great retention rate. I worked for a farm that was doing about 350 CSA shares when we were there. And I think they've gotten bigger since we left, but that'll keep you busy. I mean, to my mind, that's a pretty big CSA. So I read on your website that you don't have any formal sales or marketing training, but that you were trying to grow your customer base for your farm and didn't really have an idea how to do it, which honestly sounds like a lot of farmers I know. And you say, one day in 2016, quite by accident, I discovered the world of online marketing. Can you tell us a bit about your journey into online marketing and how you use that to market your CSA?
Yeah. So I remember feeling a lot of anxiety about trying to resell my CSA customers to renew their shares. And I would pitch this offer at the end of the year and say, hey, it's time to sign up again. And I would maybe get like 20 or 30% of them to do so right away. And I would go into the Christmas season, into the holidays, just full of anxiety because I didn't know how many of them were actually going to come back. As it turned out, more of them would come sign up in May, but I just was never sure. And I wanted to come up with a system for getting those decisions to be made earlier. And so I decided that I just needed to figure out marketing. And at the time, when I thought of marketing, I thought of social media. I didn't really know about all the other things, but that was kind of just really becoming hot at the time. And so I thought, well, let me go study social media, specifically Facebook. And I found a podcast, I think it was called the Social Media Marketing Podcast. And I started listening to that. It was primarily targeting entrepreneurs in the digital marketing space, though. But I learned a ton. I mean, I just learned the framework of marketing. I binged through tons of episodes. I ended up going to their conference. They have a virtual conference every year. And in that process, I was exposed to a lot of the influencers in the digital marketing space. So, there was a workshop on SEO. There was a workshop on email marketing. And in the process, I learned all the different marketing channels and the different ways you could do things. I mean, I did a deep dive. And I thought to myself, I wonder if I could apply some of this stuff to a physical product like a CSA. And I just decided that I would try. So I came back and I designed my first lead magnet. And if your listeners don't know what that is, we might talk about it later, and I figured out a way to get people to subscribe to my email list. And I made like 4 of them in my first 2 weeks. I was so excited. I started making a lot of video content for my CSA members and digital resources to help them be successful with the box and like a mini training course for them. I started playing around with email marketing and writing autoresponders and onboarding sequences for people just to help them figure out how to get acclimated into the community. And what I noticed is that the engagement level of my CSA went up huge amounts. And not only that, but when I decided to run a promotion at the end of the year to get them to renew, I had 70% of them come back in like that 1 week period that I offered the promotion, which was like mind blowing to me. So for the first time ever, I went into my Thanksgiving and Christmas season feeling at peace, relaxed, knowing that I had sold most of them and that I would probably be able to make up the difference in the, 4 or 5 months after the holidays. And so it was life-changing for me. And that was kind of validating. It was like, there's something to this. And that is when I really began to explore what else can you do with digital marketing. And because it was so groundbreaking, I created a private Facebook group for farmers, CSA farmers. I think there were like 5 people in it for a year. I was just talking to the same 5 people, but I didn't care. I was just sharing all the stuff I was doing in there, what I was so excited about. And slowly that group gained traction and I kept doing videos in there every week. And eventually I created a podcast, but it's just been my mission to help other originally CSA farmers, but now I've kind of grown my audience to direct-to-consumer farmers in general of all kinds, just to help them learn the framework. Because I think a lot of us just didn't grow up. We decided we wanted to be a farmer because we like growing produce, we like making the product, or we like raising the animals, whatever, right? And we don't realize that there's more to it than that. In order to be able to make money, you have to learn how to sell. And that skill is not, at least at the time, it was not focused on much at conferences. And so I just sort of saw a huge niche there, a gap that I could fill and say, I can help you with this. I can at least guide you to the places that you should go to learn about it. So that's how it was born. And now My Digital Farmer exists to equip beginner, intermediate farmers to teach them the ropes of marketing and help them feel confident that they know what to do and they learn how to build their own marketing system.
Yes. Well, and I'm glad you're doing that because I don't think it's a skill that a lot of farmers have. And obviously, if you're going to grow a business, the customers have to come from somewhere. And I agree with you. I don't think that marketing has traditionally been something that's been emphasized for farmers. Like if you look back at what was in Growing for Market, say 20 years ago. So like I worked my first full-time season as an apprentice on a farm back in 2003. So I'm going to date myself here. So it blows my mind that was 20 years ago. And we were totally focused on the growing aspect of things. And I think also if you look back at the issues of Growing for Market, for example, from that time, or like the ag books that were coming out, they were really focused on the growing and not so much on the marketing or the business side of farming. Then there were some books like Richard Wiswall's book that were a game changer for us on farm business. But it seems like a promising trend that more farmers, maybe beginning farmers, are paying more attention to the business aspects of farming, like having a business plan, a plan for how much they need to sell, a plan for marketing to get the number of customers they need to make a living, and that kind of stuff. Because let's face it, most farmers don't get into farming for the business side of things. I know when my wife and I started selling at farmers markets, we just hoped there would be enough people to buy enough of our vegetables. So it sounds like the marketing you help people with works both for in-person sales like at farmers markets and farm stands and CSAs, or is it more applicable for online sales, or both?
That's a great question. I feel like what I offer farmers is first and foremost the framework. The framework works for both digital marketing spaces like e-commerce, or if you're more like, oh, I just go to the farmer's market or I have a roadside stand and I sell person to person. In either case, It helps to know that there is a typical journey that a prospect walks through in your brand to turn them into a super fan. And there are milestones along the way in this framework that your customer needs to hit if you want them to turn into a super fan. And the way that you help them hit those milestones might be different depending on whether you have a roadside stand or you're doing things through e-commerce. But you have to create systems in your business to hit each of the stages. And so that's what I help teach is like, here's the framework. Here are the 7 or 8 things that need to be in the journey somewhere. And you probably have some of them. But if you're missing a couple in the pipeline, your customers are just going to flow right out of that hole and they're not going to progress. So sometimes people will tell me, I'm not having customers, they're just browsing or they're not actually buying, or, you hear a lot of common complaints that come through from different farm owners. And almost all of them you can trace back to, well, there's a hole in your marketing system. There's 1 or 2 of those spots in the framework that you haven't built a system around. And that's just people not knowing the framework. And so that's kind of what I'm really passionate about teaching.
Okay. Well, yeah, that makes sense. Most of what I've learned about marketing has been since taking over Growing for Market. And so that means I knew very little about it, as far as marketing my own farm. And now let's take a minute to hear from our sponsors. It's with their generous support that we can bring you the podcast for free. If you're an experienced vegetable farmer, don't miss out on the 2025 Organic Vegetable Production Conference. In its 9th year, this conference fills that expert-level niche you're looking for. Farmer presenters share the nitty-gritty details of their production practices and also speak on a wide range of topics, from storage crop facilities and pack shed adaptations to pest management, farm worker perspectives, and more. With online sessions on January 23rd and 24th for only $75 and in-person sessions on January 31st and February 1st in Madison, Wisconsin, you can plug in no matter where you are. Register today at bit.ly/OVPC-2025. That's bit.ly/OVPC-2025. Today's episode of the Growing for Market podcast is brought to you by BCS America. On our farm, we've had our BCS 2-wheel tractor for over a decade, and with no belts to slip, its all-gear-driven construction is still going strong. Though we originally got it for rototilling, we kept it even when we went mostly no-till because it can do so many other things around the farm. From snow blowing, to making raised beds with the rotary plow, to chipping wood, it can do just about anything you might need on a farm with the right attachment. Need to shred a cover crop? A BCS flail mower will make quick work of even the most vigorous cover crop and chop it up so it breaks down quickly. Want to stir in compost or amendments without inverting soil layers? A power harrow turns your BCS into a precise tilthing machine with depth control so you don't mix deeper than you want to. With so many attachments to choose from, it truly is the Swiss Army knife of farm implements. It's why, instead of saying 2-wheel tractor, so many people just say BCS. Tractors and attachments are on sale through the end of the year. Visit bcsamerica.com to find sale pricing and your nearest dealer. Whether it's tomatoes to market, flowers in the spring, or vegetables for your family, growing in a greenhouse protected from the weather provides the right environment for a harvest you can count on. Rimmel greenhouses are strong, durable, and easy to assemble, offering the quality that you need to grow productively year-round. Rimmel greenhouses are proudly built right here in America and shipped to anywhere in the U.S. With technical sales staff members located across the country, many with growing experience, the Rimmel Greenhouse's team of experts will serve as your trusted partner every step of the way to ensure that you get exceptional value from your greenhouse investment. Visit Rimmel.com to get a quote today. And now, back to the show. I'm sure there's a lot there, and obviously more than we have time for in one podcast episode. But I know one thing that we talked a bit about is a promotion calendar for 2025. And so I don't know if that's one of the elements or if that just gives people a framework, but a promotion calendar seems like a good topic. So we're talking here at the end of 2024. This interview will probably run early 2025. And I figure it's a good time of year when farmers have the time to plan a promotion calendar out for the coming year, which sounds very helpful because there's nothing to kill your creativity like having a blank page or a blank social media post staring you in the face, thinking, I need to post something, but not knowing what to post. So I'm thinking putting the time into planning a promotion calendar now can make it a lot easier to actually get those promotions out to the world when it's busy time on the farm. So first of all, what channels are we talking about here for farmers to reach potential customers?
Yeah. So I feel like there are a lot of channels, Andrew, but I think there's maybe 3 or 4 that really jump out for me.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is the obvious one that everyone thinks of first. That's social media. I think that's actually most farmers' default setting is like, oh, when we talk about marketing, they think I mean social media. It is one of the platforms, one of the channels that we have open to us. I think its primary purpose, though, is actually more just to attract your ideal customer and get them onto your list. I don't see it being a huge driver of sales. There are exceptions, but that is a main platform for me to focus my attention on because I'm always trying to get new people into the sales pipeline. And that's its main purpose. That also means like paid ads. It could also be like a local Facebook group, kind of falls into that category. Another marketing channel would be email marketing. And this is one that I'm really passionate about. Most of my ROI comes from email marketing. It's direct, it's personal, it's very cost effective. If you know how to write well and you learn the unique copywriting style that email needs to be, like email writing is not writing a paper for your 8th grade literature teacher. It's a completely different type of writing. And I think that's where people get stuck and they're like, oh, I hate writing. It's just a style. And if you learn like how to write a great weekly email, if you learn things like how to create an actual promotional sales email that the right person will actually be excited to open because they're interested in the product. If you learn the skill of what I call email nurture campaigns, these are a series of emails that automatically drip out to someone once they've subscribed to your list and they build connection. They don't pitch anything. They just share your story. They share anecdotes. They teach them, the customer, new things. Like that's a really powerful channel as well that you can really ultimately pitch offers through, but you're building a connection, building trust, and then making your offers. I would also say another marketing channel would be the farm website with your e-commerce platform, ideally, kind of hooked together. This is the digital hub of your business. Your SEO all drives to that site as well. If you have online orders that you're taking, you need to have a really strong website presence. So you can dedicate, like you can have a promotions page there. You can have a pop-up that comes up that has your recent promotion or how to get on your email list. So that's another really popular one. And the other 2 I would maybe mention here would be SMS or text messaging. That's becoming more and more common in the digital space. A lot of people say, oh, nobody opens emails anymore, but everyone checks their phone. Every text that comes through, people are looking at. So that's another whole skill set. How do you write a text message because you don't have as much space? But that one gets really high open rates. And then I was going to say influencer marketing, I feel like is maybe another one to think about. And print marketing to some degree. Some people who are listening to the show definitely could benefit from using print marketing.
Mm-hmm. So probably depending on the individual farm's goals, all those channels are open to them, and it depends on which one they're going to want to leverage based on their goals. And
yeah, I mean, as we're going to talk about, when you build your promotion calendar, one of the things you ask in that process is, okay, now which marketing channels am I going to use? And you make that decision based on the level of importance of this promotion. You know, some promotions there's a lot driving them and you need a lot of revenue to come from that promotion. And so you're going to use multiple channels and you're going to put a lot more energy and time into the communication. Some things, you know, if you're just going to the farmer's market every weekend, you might just have to post on social and send an email, you know, like, and that it's not as hardcore.
Yeah. Okay. So you can help people even figure out which of those channels to use.
Yeah.
Depending on their goals and markets and all that kind of thing.
Right.
Okay, well, this is at least sounds like marketing is like everything else in farming. I feel like most of the questions I ask on this podcast, the answer is it depends in some way or the other, right? Because all the ag questions, it always depends on your soil and your climate and your crop, and so I guess a lot of the questions in life, the answer is it depends, and you just have to figure out what it depends on. So
It does. Or you could create a whole episode just on the marketing channels, right? There you just can't go dive too deep.
Yes, yes. Well, I'm sure we could talk for days probably about this kind of stuff, which is why we will try to focus. Which brings me to the question is, so what exactly is a promotion calendar? So I think I know what you mean, but just in case I don't, and for our audience, would you tell us what exactly a promotion calendar is?
Yeah. So this is a visual schedule or visual representation of all of the marketing activities that a business plans to accomplish to achieve their marketing goals over a set period of time. So it's usually an entire year, but some people only plan it for the, 6 months at a time, maybe even by quarters. But I like to have a promotion calendar for the entire year. And it's going to include not just your paid, like your marketing activities where you're pitching offers and hoping to build revenue, but it's also including the things that fall under marketing that don't necessarily include getting a sale. So growing your email list, getting people to leave a testimonial or a review. These are all things that are in that marketing framework I talked about, and those different milestones that you want customers to hit. So we're building mechanisms into our business, or at least planning it out on paper, like, hey, this is what I plan to do to make sure that these things happen and when.
Okay, because there's so much going on.
Yeah. The kinds of things, let me be more clear. So the kinds of things that you would put into a promotion calendar would be things like your one-time big product launches. So my CSA early bird renewal campaign, something like that. Like I'm just going to stick that in the month of October and say that is a big event that I have to plan something around. It also includes like your monthly campaigns or your weekly, the things that you do every week. I go to the farmer's market, so I need to make sure I have a mechanism that fires every week to remind people to come and check me out at the farmer's market, right? So you might have that in your promotion calendar. It includes special holiday promotion things that only show up on Mother's Day or at Easter. I sell my hams, right? So we sort of target holidays and we target certain products and bundles and packages. And it's just like a rough draft guide for us to look at visually and say, this month I'm going to be selling these items, trying to hit these revenue goals. And that serves as a roadmap for us to kind of walk through our year then, month by month, and things don't creep up on us and surprise us like, oh, shoot, I have to sell this big thing next week and I'm not ready. And we can see it coming because we've thought about it and we've paid attention to making sure there's white space and it's not overlapping. And do we have the energy for it? Because that's the week we're going to be seeding a whole bunch of stuff, right? We think about all of that in advance.
Okay. Well, yeah, that makes sense because I know, once you get into the rush of the season, it can be so hard to keep track of what the plan is. It really helps to have a plan. So can you tell us a bit about the process that you would use to make one?
Yeah. So this usually takes me about 3 to 5 hours. Like I set aside an entire afternoon to work this out for my farm. Now, remember, I'm a farm that's been around for 15 years, and I have, if you're just getting started and you're just going to the farmer's market, you might not have as much time to devote to this, right? You're not going to have to do as much stuff, but I've got a lot of things going on. But the first thing that I do is I decide how long I'm going to plan it for, and then I decide on my marketing goals. So these are things like, I don't know, I want to grow my email list by 150 people this year, or I want to try to get my average order value in the online store to go up by $5. I'll think through some general marketing goals because that's what's going to drive, ultimately, when I start plotting things, it's going to drive like the kinds of offers that I brainstorm and build to put into this promotion calendar. The next thing that I do is I review all of my data from the past year. And this is so, so important to run those reports in your e-commerce platform if you use e-commerce or on Square, just to see like, what's the sales data telling me? What did I sell month by month? What were the popular items? By enterprise, where was the money coming in? And that's really important because we don't want to spend a ton of energy promoting items that really don't make us a lot of money, right? So just making sure we know this, and you'll get a feel for it. Most of you who've been farming for a while, you probably already know this. You don't even have to run the numbers. But I always say, just look at your data and look at the promotions you did last year. So I review not just the numbers, but like I look at my promotion calendar from the year before, because that often serves as a template for me. If I ran a Mother's Day brunch event in May last year and I knew it made this much, then and I've decided, yeah, that was a great ROI, then I'm going to do it again. And I'll just plot it there again, and I'll know what goal to set, and maybe I'll try to bump it up 10% higher to give myself a little bit of something to go for, right? But I'm looking at what did I do last year, or I'm looking at some of the people I saw around me, some of the offers that I saw that I thought were really neat, and I'm like, oh, I want to try that next year. And I'm just kind of getting the lay of the land. The next step is to make a list of all of the key products or enterprises that are in your what I call the product ladder that you want to promote. And for some of us, this is quite a list. And I think this is important because you want to make sure you don't forget anything, right? If you've got a product that does really well and you just forgot to think about it, sometimes you can forget to end up pitching it until it's too late, or you don't maximize what you could have gotten out of it because you didn't think about it in advance. So I actually use Post-it notes and I will just write the products down on all the Post-it notes. Now, I'm not writing carrot on one and cabbage on another. I'm not doing that. It's more like categories of things. So like my CSA share or my CSA 4-week SAMP trial membership, my Thanksgiving pop-up market online is a really big one. We do a plant sale. That would go on a Post-it note, right? I'm thinking about what are the big drivers of revenue? What are the popular products? Sometimes it's an individual product. Like if I know bulk tomatoes are hot sellers and I want to build a whole thing around that, that's going to get its own thing, right? So I just have all these things laid out. And then that allows me to go, okay, I got all this stuff I want to sell. Now, where's it going to go, right? How is it all going to fit into this 12-month period of time, right? I'm looking also at like, what are the key drivers of the revenue as I'm staring at those Post-it notes? Because some of the Post-it notes are more valuable than others, right? If you only have so much time and you decide I can't fit it all in, well, what are the ones that are like crushing it for you, that are bringing in the revenue, that are your cash cow, or, if it's like 30% of your revenue, or maybe you make a ton of your sales in Christmas, my God, don't drop that from your promotion calendar, right? Like that's gotta be there. So you have this giant, like if you're a Post-it note girl like me, you've got this giant table now, kind of Post-it notes that's showing you these are the things that we need to fit into the calendar. So the next step is to look at, are there any important dates on the calendar that I need to kind of block out? This sounds silly, but like if you know that you want to take a vacation, or there's certain weekends that you're just not going to be as available because it's planting season or whatever, like you need to mark that down so that you don't accidentally create a promotion during a time that is just not feasible for you. And so we always take a vacation in the middle of July. I know that sounds crazy, but we make it happen. And so I just make sure everything gets like built around that. And that's just a value that we have as a farm.
Right. I mean, that makes a lot of sense to me just because I'm imagining, some of these, you mentioned weekly promos might not be a big deal, or like, if you're just reminding people that you're going to be at the farmer's market, that's probably something people could pull off pretty quickly. I'm thinking, like maybe a picture of what's going on the farm that week, what's picking. It will be at the farmer's market, but some of the bigger ones, like maybe CSA sign up or get your hams, around a certain holiday or something like that, might be something that you would want to invest a little bit more time into if it's a really important part of your business. And so making sure that like if you're going to be gone the week before that promo, that you do the work the week before that week so that you're not trying to put together a really important promo the same week you're also trying to be on vacation. I mean, I can see how it can almost like help you balance the load between what needs to be done and when you have the time to actually do it.
Right. Yeah. And you're also setting your revenue goals as you begin to plot them out onto the calendars or onto the months, because it's really important that you pay attention to your cash flow situation. What does this promotion need to generate for you in terms of revenue? And that's not always a question that farmers ask in advance. And then it's no wonder that we get get ourselves in trouble with cash flow because suddenly there isn't any. And it's like, well, you didn't plan a promotion to make, before then to make sure you could cover that period. And so pay attention to your cash flow needs, look for those gaps. In the marketing space in general, like even outside of our industry, there's this concept of marketing peaks. And there will typically be 4 marketing peaks in a year. That's what's kind of recommended, one for each quarter. And the marketing peaks represent one of those larger promotions where you're generating a big chunk of revenue. Many retail businesses have a huge one in November, December. Obviously, the holiday season is where they get a big chunk of their revenue for the year. But you've got to also have some things earlier on. So that may mean you have to fabricate some kind of demand for a product if you're going to need help with your cash flow. So I always will set some revenue goals for each of the promotions as well, either by promotion or by month or by quarter. And then I'm making sure that the promotions that I've put into that quarter are going to hit that revenue goal. And then that gives me something to be tracking on a spreadsheet as well as the year progresses, because I can look at the end of February and I can see, am I on track? Am I going to be able to get to that goal that I set with my calendar? And if I've done my job right, I will, right? And if I'm seeing that I'm short, then I know I have time to pivot and try and come up with something before the end of that quarter. So we're looking at the revenue. That's part of the process, is to look at your revenue goals then for each month, making sure that your promotions that you put in there are meeting those. And then I also take a look at, what are my marketing channels going to be? So we talked about this earlier. There's a bunch of different options, but depending on how important the promotion is, how much revenue it needs to drive, I may have more marketing channels invested in those larger promotions. Most of the time, I feel like low level promotions are things like just writing a weekly email or making sure I post things on social media. That's pretty easy to do. But for the stuff that matters, I'm building out like giant email campaigns, and I've got giveaway contests, and I'm making the whole promo feel like an event, creating excitement and engagement, building a bonus offer, whatever, having a raffle. There's all kinds of things you can do to create that sort of energy and vibe. And then kind of towards the end of the process is to very generally jot down or brainstorm, like, what are the promotional strategies going to be for these different things? So that's also going on the promo plan. And again, I'm literally scribbling these things onto Post-it notes. I mean, this is a rough draft. This is not meant to be like, I've got my tagline down and I'm writing my email copy and I've got my social media image posts ready to, like, no, you do that month to month as things get closer. This is just the big picture plan. But I do want to know, okay, for my CSA early bird renewal campaign, like, I'm going to have a giveaway. I'm going to have a bonus. It's probably going to be around $5, in value. So I'm going to have some budget for that. And my goal is going to be to sell 80% because that's what I've done, historically. We're going to do a contest before, whatever. Like, I can just sort of jot down things, but that's all I have to do. I don't have to go into the weeds and like literally write the campaign. That is not what the promotion calendar is about.
Yes. Okay. And so it's more like it's a plan. It's a reminder when you're busy, this needs to be promoted in such and such a week. Or I'm interested in this idea you said about, I think you called them sales peaks is that one every quarter? Is that just the idea that, some of them might be obvious, like CSA sign up week, in the fall for CSA farms. I think it's so valuable to have the planning to be able to get people signed up early. But then I'm like, is it just, well, you're bound to sell more if you have a plan to do some promotion, right? Because I could see how somebody might just do a promotion once a year, around the holidays or around CSA sign up time, and then not really have promos for the rest of the year. Is the general idea there, well, you're going to sell more if you have some plan to promote whatever it is that you're selling more than once or twice a year.
Yeah. So here's the thing, like farmers, the way that you will increase your revenue is really, there's like 4 ways. The first way is you could raise your price. The second way is you could get more customers. The third way is you could increase the average order value, the amount they spend each time they do buy from you. Or you could increase the frequency at which they buy from you. And that means you have to pitch more offers. You have to come back to them repeatedly with, hey, buy again. And now come and buy again. And now I have another thing you could buy. And for your super fans who want to collect everything you have, they don't mind when you ask them to do that. So this is why we have to create these marketing peaks. So usually you'll see things like this is not necessarily inside the farming space, but I'll give you some examples of marketing peaks that are out there, like Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, like the start of school is sort of another transition point. Thanksgiving and Christmas. Those are big ones, in New Year's. There's usually a lull. The hardest place for retailers to get people to buy is usually in the first 2 months of the year. It seems like there's a big drop there in energy, but you're trying to take advantage of the fact that customers have buying habits around certain times of the year. Usually they're around cultural moments or holidays. And so we want to tap into that and create some kind of a promotion when the customer is looking for something to buy. There's energy to buy. So we build a marketing peak or an offer around those times.
Right. Okay. Well, yeah, the big guys do it. I mean, honestly, the example that comes to mind is Prime Day, right? I'm not a huge fan of Amazon, but right, weren't they like, my understanding of Prime Day is that they were like, okay, people buy tons of stuff on Black Friday. Wouldn't it be great to have another day like that? And they were like, let's create an artificial holiday or sales holiday called Prime Day. And so, I'm thinking, obviously, probably most farmers don't want to be Amazon. They don't, they almost want to be the anti-Amazon, but there's definitely things that farmers can learn, from big businesses.
Yeah. We have something called tax-free day. I don't know if that's something you have in your state where on this particular week, there's no sales tax that's levied.
We don't. I've heard of tax holidays. We do not have one in Maine, but that's interesting.
But that's another example of some fabricated day that's now turned into this huge shopping day for people around, because it's before the school season starts and they're all trying to buy their school supplies and their kids' clothes and not have to pay sales tax. So
right. Okay, so yeah, you might have, I'm thinking farmers might have a particular time of year where they know a certain flower or a certain vegetable is going to come on. The best example I can think of this from our own marketing was more when we had an overabundance of something. I mean, I think this is a classic farmer thing, is to give away recipes. And so I'm thinking, and we would do that at the farmer's market, like we got too much of this, make sure and have a recipe about it. And that worked really well for us. So I imagine with you, they would take it to the next level and put that recipe in an email or put it on a social media post or something like that as a way to digitally do the same thing.
Yeah, that's a great example. Sometimes you're also looking for opportunities to create a new product, right? Like I know we just decided a few months ago we wanted to expand our CSA and offer now a meat share. Now we don't actually produce the meat, but we have a partner that we found and they're going to sell it to us wholesale and then we're going to mark it up and they'll just bring it to us frozen, already ready to go. And we just kind of pass it. And this is going to create some easy additional revenue for us. When we announced it during our early bird renewal campaign, people went crazy and they're so excited about it. And then starting in January, we'll actually pre-sell them and pitch them, right? But this is a question that I asked, like, is there something new, a new product I can develop or promote and create buzz around that? So sometimes you artificially manufacture energy and you create energy for your brand around by creating a new promotion or offering a new product. So this does take some brainstorming and some imagination when you sit down there and you look at, okay, what have I done in the past that's worked well? What have I seen other businesses, industries do that I could modify for my farm? Like, could I bundle something really cool? Could I take advantage of a holiday? Like if you are, like they have all kinds of things like national holidays, like National Donut Day and National Take Your Mom Out to Ice Cream Day. Like if you sell ice cream, then you should totally like snag one of those hashtags and, build a whole promotion around it, right? Maybe it'll do something, who knows? So we're just looking at what are other businesses doing? Can we take that template? A lot of it is just trial and error. And sometimes you find a real winner. I have one more example of an offer that just did really well. It was around Thanksgiving when my husband and I, a few years ago, we had all this food left over at the end of the season. And we wanted to donate it. We were just like, let's just donate it because like this is too much work to try and like figure out what to do with it. And then I was like, well, let's get our customers to donate it for us, because then it's not just us taking it to a food bank, but we just put it all in a bunch of bags, like hundreds of bags, and we just have them claim one. They're free. They just have to claim them on the online store, and they can come pick it up. It's a $30 bag basically worth of produce, and then they can bring it to someone and cheer them up. Somebody who needs some food this season. And we called it the Feed the Need bag. And I was like, well, I'll just throw some other things in the store too while I'm there. And it ended up being one of our largest grossing online store days in history, because people came for that free offer. And then while they were there, they're like, I'm going to throw a bunch of vegetables in my cart too. But that was just an example of an idea that came out of, hey, let's figure out a way to be generous. Let's figure out a way to give our food away. And ironically, it ended up making us a whole lot of money. Which was a beautiful bonus. But now that is a staple in our promotion calendar. It shows up every Thanksgiving because it creates so much energy. It also creates revenue, but our customers ask for it. They're like, oh, I love this. This is a tradition now. I love you allowing me to be an ambassador of goodwill. And yeah, so sometimes you come up with really neat ideas just out of luck.
Yeah, well, that's brilliant, because where I thought you were going to go with that is that the giveaway was like nurture content. If that's that's an idea I hear sometimes, is that, of course, like you can't sell in every single post or
Right.
email to your customers, or they're going to get sick of it. And I thought you were just going to say that got people involved. And it sounds like maybe that's what you were expecting, but it sounds like it turned out to be, it ended up making a lot of sales for you, in addition to presumably making your customers feel connected to the farm, and like they got to do this great thing of helping to give away food to somebody that they know needs it. So that's a really cool way to turn that event into a sales event for the farm.
That comment actually makes me think about, this was a point I wanted to make. The promotion calendar is not just about making sure that we plan out the things we're going to do to make money, but we also want to ask those questions. So like, what are my other marketing goals? Like, do I want to nurture people along? Because you have people who have just come into your sales funnel who are not ready to buy yet. They are just not ready. They're still warming up to you. They're checking out other options. They're watching your videos on social. And so we need to have content that's for those eyes too. And so I'm always looking through the lens of, okay, now that I've put out all the things on this calendar that are going to make me money, what are the things I need to make sure I'm doing? What are the mechanisms that I need to have running in the background that are warming up the audience, right? So, and it's just as simple like, oh, make sure you're posting on social, like these frequently asked questions get into the social calendar on a monthly basis. You always have a video or a video unboxing of your CSA box. Like that should be in there just to make people aware of what you do, what you sell, or make sure you have a lead magnet post so that you're getting people onto your email list. Or maybe a goal is like, I'm going to create a new lead magnet this year for this new product that I eventually want to sell because I know it's going to attract that kind of person, right? So you're looking at the other marketing goals and you're making sure that you have created mechanisms in the calendar somewhere so that those things happen as well.
Well, that's great. I'm so glad that you made that point, because I'm thinking about how you're talking about using social media to maybe get people over to your email list. Well, some of those people might be interested enough to get your email, but they're not customers yet. And I'm thinking that kind of sort of like nurture content, shows people who you are, how you grow, and what you do. And it's an opportunity to show them what you're really about. So they get to the point of being like, oh yeah, I do like these people. I like the way they do what they do. I'm going to sign up for the CSA or get a meat share or whatever.
Yeah. The nurture, I have a thing called Farm Marketing School that farmers subscribe to, and they build the different pieces of their marketing system. And the email nurture sequence is one of the most popular projects for farmers who come in there. They are really eager to put that in place because it is such a powerful driver of the engine. If you can, once you get someone onto your list, you do not pitch them right away. Like that is a bad mistake. They will unsubscribe quickly. You really want to have some kind of a mechanism like this autoresponder that's maybe 2 weeks long, 10 days, that's just dripping out, 4 emails over 2 weeks that just slowly introduces you to them and creates that affinity. That is such an important step. A lot of people don't take the time to warm up to their audience. There's a metaphor that's used a lot in the marketing space of dating, and that marketing is a lot like dating. Too many farmers are meeting a person for the first time and getting down on one knee and asking them to marry them and make a big purchase, right? When really what they should do is ask them, can I have your number? Can we go out on a date first, right? Can we get to know each other a little bit? Can I meet your parents? There's all these other steps that happen before the big ask. And if you don't honor those, it feels icky. That's when it feels salesy. So we build these other structures in place in our business to move the customer slowly along to hit these milestones so that when they get pitched for the first time, it feels okay to them. It feels okay to you. You do it with confidence because you know you've delivered so much value on the front end that it feels absolutely good to say, I know I can help you. This is a product that will meet your need and will solve your problem. And then the customer feels okay about it too. And many of them, more of them will convert because you honored the process of building the relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm wondering if you would call pictures of people's farms nurture content in a way, because, I'm thinking farmers are busy, they're probably plenty busy just with what's going on out in the field. But if you neglect that sales and marketing side, you're not going to have enough customers. And I'm thinking that one really easy post that a lot of farmers could pull off is just a picture of how the crop is looking in the field, or just a beautiful shot of the farm, because that should be the kind of thing they could take a quick picture, just throw a caption on there, and that should nurture that relationship with somebody who's already a customer thinking about being a customer, because then they're like, oh, that's where my food or flowers are come from, or like, yeah, this is a beautiful farm. This is the kind of place that I want to support. My dollars can help this farm keep being a farm. And I want to ask you that question because we're all so busy. We have to budget our time. I think farmers sometimes might be like, well, why am I going to just like take a picture? I'm not going to put the time into making a social media post unless it does something for me. And so, you tell me I might be off the wrong track here, but I was thinking like even just a simple picture of what the farm looks like can be a nurture post in a way, because it makes the person understand what the farm is and probably want to support it, and maybe able to move them along on that journey from interested person to customer. Like, does that make sense as a nurture content?
Yeah, I mean, it does, and I think it can serve in that capacity. I think the question to ask is, what is the desire of your customer's heart? Like, what is driving them to check out your farm in the first place? And so for many farm customers, they're looking for transparency and knowing they can trust where their food comes from. And so to be able to see a picture of the field and the growing practices being played out, like that's why that kind of a picture works, because it's feeding that need that the client has, that I need to feel secure about where my food comes from. So that's really the question you should ask about, well, would this picture serve my purposes? I also think things that should show up if you want to build and nurture trust, you need to have pictures of yourself with your eyes looking into the camera. And I know that's hard, but pictures of people always do better on social media than pictures of things. So don't be afraid to put yourself in there. If you can get pictures of your customers using your product, that's also gold, because, and get permission obviously to use them, but you want a customer to see themselves in that client. And that's what happens. It's called mirroring. It's like they hold a mirror up to themselves and they imagine themselves doing what that customer is doing, whether it's eating something yummy from the kitchen table or having a bunch of people around them looking like they're having a blast around your produce, or a child scooping up a kohlrabi stick and some dip, and every mom out there is like, I want my kid to be like that, So we want to try and also get customer photos too. Those testimonials are huge.
Yes. Yeah, that does help. All right. So you got all your Post-its. I'm a very visual person. Like, I actually use little Post-its in a system called Scrumboard. In fact, I think the first Growing for Market podcast was with somebody who had written an article about using this Scrum framework on farms. And I've used it. I use it sort of for my own personal productivity system. And I use little tiny Post-its, but I am a very visual person, so paint the picture for me here, Corinna. So you're sticking all these Post-its up on a wall or on a calendar. Like, how are you managing this system?
Yeah, I actually have I have one of those big paper calendars, and I'm just because it's bigger, because the Post-it notes take up a lot of space.
Yeah, like month at a glance kind of thing.
Yes, month at a
Yeah.
glance. And so I'm just
Uh-huh.
placing them originally just on the calendar, but then if I want to get really into the minutia, I'll even like try to stick them on the right weeks, because I want to make sure that we don't have overlapping competing things. Like if you have two like level 1 hardcore promotions going on at the same time, that's not a good idea, right? We want to kind of space them out. So I'll have all of that roughly in the right week. I'll have the goals, the revenue goals written out on that posted as well. And in my early years, I took that information from that and I put month by month onto like a piece of paper and I wrote it out. But now honestly, I just keep the calendar and I just look at it. I'm experienced enough that I can just see, oh, I've got those two things going on this month. I've already got resources that from the past. I'm just going to pull them out, rinse and repeat them, and maybe adjust them a little bit. That's the other thing that's beautiful about this. It's hard to build it the first time, but then the next year, please do not throw away your promotion calendar. Like use it again. And as you're building the promotions, save the stuff that you do, like the email that you sent out and the promotion social media posts that you put with that promotion, like put them in a Google Drive, like a special Google folder, so that all you have to do is go back and find the crib sheets, right? And you could repost the same stuff the next year. No one will remember, or maybe if you use Canva, which is the graphic design program that I use, you can have folders for each of the different promotions and you just go and find the graphics in there and pull them out again, right? So that's the beauty of this is you save this stuff somewhere so that it's easy to locate and redo.
Right, because you're going to be doing CSA renewals the same time the next year. So.
I have been doing the same process for the last 7 years and getting the same results. It's rinse and repeat. I change the bonus out every year, but I use the same emails. I use almost exactly the same social media copy. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well that makes sense. And I don't know if this is getting off topic, but you mentioned lead magnets, and I wanted to ask you what kind of lead magnets you use, or what kind of lead magnets farms can use, because it's so unsatisfying to try and run a promotion in crickets, right? So
yeah.
I guess what I'm like, I think this framework is great, and I don't know if it's too far off the topic, but if there's anything you could either say about what kind of lead magnets you've seen be successful for farmers, or just how, in general, how they can run a successful promotion, because of course you don't want to put the energy into this and not get a return. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So the lead magnet's job is to get the right person onto your email list. So it's designed to qualify your lead. So when you create the lead magnet content, you want to make it specific enough, not too specific, like general enough to hit a lot of people. So a lot of people will be attracted to it, but not so general that people subscribe to it who would never actually buy your product that's on the other side of it, right? So, something like we have an A to Z vegetable storage guide that lives on our website. It is our top. I've had it there for 8 years since the beginning, and it still works like gangbusters. It's like 40 pages, it's got a picture of the vegetable and how to store it. For my ideal customer who's first coming in, they don't know how to store their food. I know that's a problem. And so this is going to solve it for them. So that's an example of a lead magnet for a vegetable grower that might be very effective. You have to think through the lens of like, what problem does my customer have? And can I create some content to help solve that? Or do they have a question that's keeping them from buying? And this lead magnet is going to have the answer to it. So like the CSA share, to attract that kind of a person, I have several different ones that I've played around with, but one that works well is the 6 questions to ask before you join a CSA. Now, I could just write a blog about that, but why not lock it behind a gate, where they have to give me their email address? And only a person who's interested in a CSA would ask to get a document like that. So then I know that I can follow up that, delivery of the lead magnet with some emails that slowly move them towards my pitch to purchase the CSA, right? I don't do it right away, but I can comfortably go that direction because based on what they've downloaded. So I'm trying to think for like, if you're a meat producer, I know people do things like the different cuts explaining the different cuts of meat, or like how to buy meat in bulk. Like that's a very confusing process. If you want to buy a side of beef, most people don't take a first step because they don't even know like hanging weight and how much is that even going to make? How much space does it take up in my freezer? And so like you could create a guide that just explains the whole process, right? Or that has the cut list in it, and then a video to go along with it that explains how to fill out the cut list. Like that would be very alluring to someone. And now you know they're interested in possibly buying a side of meat, a side of beef.
Okay. All right. So you made your promotions calendar, and so then that can keep you on track. And then I guess a lot of the rest of it is just improving your skills as a marketer to, like you're saying, have good copywriting so your email resonates with people when they get it, or working on your social media skills so your posts are resonate with
Right.
your audience.
Yeah, there's a lot more to marketing than just building the promotion calendar. The promotion calendar is just one. It's a project inside of our marketing school, right? It's just one thing that we do once a year to basically serve as the roadmap to help us know these are the things you should promote if you want to hit your revenue goals or your other marketing goals. And so, I'll use it. I'll pull it out. I'll take a look at it once or twice a month. Usually I'm looking ahead to the next month, like what's coming down the pike that I need to prepare for. Is one of those big marketing peak events coming that I need to maybe spend 3 or 4 hours on? Or am I going to be in a rhythm here for a few weeks of, I just have to do a weekly email and social media and maybe some SMS texting. Like that feels easy. And then I can just rest in that. But I'm basically just looking ahead what's coming. And sometimes then I'll have to set aside a weekend, 5 hours on a weekend to put that whole promotion together. If it's something that makes me a ton of money, I'm going to spend time and do that well.
Right. Okay. And so I can see how the promotions calendar will just keep you on track as far as not forgetting about that big promotion just because it's a time of year when you're also busy.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like, that seems like makes a lot of sense to me. Is there anything else that you wanted to say about promotion calendars?
No, I feel like that was the big brush strokes. There's a little more detail to it, but we don't have to go into the weeds.
Yeah. Well, right there. If people haven't heard of that, at least that'll just give them the idea to sit down. Take a day, plan out your whole year ahead of time. It's going to be better than if you just do it as things occur to you. So,
yeah, maybe I do want to say one more thing here. I don't want people to feel bad if they don't do everything on the promotion calendar, because that's very common. You have this plan, and then there's always a few things that when you get to that month, you're like, yeah, I don't feel like doing National Donut Day or whatever, and then you're just like, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to drop it. Or you see another opportunity come up that feels really exciting and you follow the energy, and that creates revenue for you or some other asset in your business. And you should follow that energy. So, this is just meant to be a rough draft, a guide, and use it, change it, develop it, evolve it. Yeah, don't shame yourself if you didn't do that thing in September you said you were going to do.
All right. Well, that makes me feel better because I don't know if I've ever sat down and planned out an entire year of promotions ahead of time. But this conversation is making me think that I should. We try to be proactive, but I don't think we've ever gotten a whole year out in front of things, but we should. So, all right. Well, that's a good idea. If people haven't heard of a promotion calendar, it will at least might help them think about sitting down and making one this winter. Yeah, well, okay. So how do you decide what products or services are ripe for a promotion?
Yeah, so there's lots of things that you can look at, or things that will serve as triggers to say, hey, put me on sale or offer me to your audience. I think, first of all, you want to look at the seasonality of your products. There's a natural rhythm, right, on your farm where you might have a bumper crop of strawberries that you're kind of anticipating is going to happen. So maybe you just sort of know, bumper crop's going to happen. If so, I'm going to be ready with a promotion. You're looking at your planting and your harvest schedules and just noticing what's the timing, what's the seasonality of some of that stuff. Customer demand is something to look at as well. So you can look at your sales data and see, what do my clients go crazy for? And when do they typically want to buy certain products? So for us, like watermelons are huge. And if we can possibly have them, around one of those big holidays so they can bring it to their picnics, great. They're going to buy a ton of them. So maybe knowing that, I'm going to make sure I have a lot of watermelons, and I might even build a deal or a promo around the melon to get people into the store, hoping they'll buy other things and put that in their cart too, right? So we're just looking at what is the customer demand and promoting those products when you know the interest is highest. Some of you who are listening have an overstock or a surplus of something at certain times of year, and it always happens. So if you take a look at your cooler or you look at your out at your acreage and you're like, oh my God, I have so many carrots. I need to get rid of them, right? Then we built a promotion around that particular inventory. And the goal of the promotion is to move the inventory. So maybe you're willing to take a loss, or not a loss, but you're willing to discount it a little bit just because you want to move it. I also want to say, look at your product mix and see what is scarce. So what's something that you sell you don't have a lot of? And you can create urgency and scarcity around that with a special kind of offer. So the typical example is like limited edition or limited time. You see that all over the place, right? So if you have some kind of value added product that literally is limited edition because you only had so many blackberries and it only made this many blackberry pies or whatever, then you can charge more for those pies because you only have so many, and people are going to go crazy for them. So what do you have not very much of that your customer wants, and try to create scarcity? And then I had a couple of other things that I wrote down here in my notes. One is looking at some of the market trends. And what made me think of this was like the Barbie movie when it came out like many years ago. And I don't know if you remember, but there was like pink everywhere. Like every business was trying to like find a way to turn something pink or and that, that's a silly example, but like what's trending right now? And is there a way that you can tap into it, like election season, or sometimes it's around holidays, but we can look at our kind of the culture that's going on around us. And then lastly, I would look at like cross-selling opportunities. So if this could be with either your own stuff or maybe even a collaboration with another brand. If you have something that goes really well with a product that someone else sells or within your own product suite, you could combine them together, bundle them together, and or once they put that one thing into their cart, you could suggest this seasoning rub to go with that because it perfectly aligns, right? So kind of looking through that lens of how does this product pair up with something else, or can it be bundled with something else to make it a higher valued item in the cart? So those are just some suggestions for how to decide, is this product able to be promoted? Is it ready and ripe for promotion?
Okay. Well, yeah, that's a great idea to work the scarcity aspect in addition to, like we were talking about earlier, using recipes, for example, to try to sell something that you have too much of. That's a good point, to make something out of the stuff that you maybe don't have as much as you'd like to also. Well, one question that I was going to ask you, and then I thought, oh, maybe we kind of already answered this, was to how to evaluate whether promotions did well or not. And the reason I was thinking maybe we already answered that is because you talked about making a target. And so I was thinking like, well, duh, the answer would be, well, A, make a target, and B, did you hit your target or not? Because so I don't know, maybe you have more to say about that, because I know sometimes we've done promotions and things and we're like, well, I don't know, like without a target, you're like, I don't know, was that good or not? And the only thing
that is the answer. That is the answer, Andrew. Yes. You want to set a clear goal and then you want to measure the performance against that goal. So it doesn't have to be revenue either, right? Like increased sales is always kind of the obvious choice. That's what our goal is. But maybe I wanted to attract 20 new customers into my brand this weekend, because those customers I can then cultivate and they'll turn into lifetime buyers. Like think about this, like every customer has a lifetime customer value. If you know that your average customer buys from you 15 times a year at the rate of $50 per time, then you can do the math and then you can figure out every time I bring in a new customer, they will eventually, might take them a few months, but they will eventually turn into that amount of money for me, right? So maybe your goal is like, I just need to get 20 new clients this quarter. because that's what I require to hit my, revenue benchmark. But maybe it's I need to clear excess inventory. My cooler is like so full and I've got to deal with that problem or I'm going to have to compost it. And so that could be the goal of the promotion. And so then you would evaluate, did I meet that goal? Maybe it's I wanted to just drive traffic to my website. There's all kinds of goals that you could set. So usually people are looking at like revenue metrics like the sales generated, average order value, the frequency of purchase. And sometimes if you're looking at marketing metrics, you're looking at like your email open rates. You might look at your social media engagement and also even just the ROI, because not every promotion necessarily leads to a profit, right? Like we've all had examples where we've gone to the farmer's market and we spent all day the day before getting ready for it. We go to the market, we spend the 7 hours at the market itself, and then we walk home with $400. And if we do the math, and we think about how we just gave away 2 days of our life, we're like, I don't know if I made any money there. I think I might have lost some, right? So we want to make sure that we're really asking that question too, like, is the ROI happening? So key performance indicators is something you want to look at here too when you're evaluating your goals.
Yeah, cool. Well, I think it's a exciting era for farming in a way because, just thinking about your whole MyDigitalFarmer angle in brands, because, when I started doing this about 20 years ago, I don't know if we were being uncreative, but we were basically thinking about, we were working for farms that were doing CSAs and farmers markets and stuff like that. And it was really came down to enough people coming to the farmers market and hopefully wanting what we had to have a good day. And like you said, you could very easily have a bad day at market. Like here in Maine, our biggest produce weeks tend to coincide with thunderstorm season, and so that was always frustrating. Sometimes our most stocked market of the year would also be, it would rain the whole time, and nobody wants to come out. And so I'm thinking being able to expand that marketing front to digital, the digital front is a huge benefit.
Oh, it's huge.
Yeah. And I mean, everybody, maybe not everybody, but so many people after COVID have gone online, right? Because I feel like the people who weren't already online, markets were shut down or disrupted, and people just had, it was people had to go online, and I think people still have those channels. And so it's making me think about how you can use a digital channel to bounce back. Say if you had a bad market day, no fault of your own, it ended up thunderstorming the whole time you're at the farmer's market, and now everything that you spent the last 2 days of your life harvesting is sitting in your cooler. Hey, maybe it's time for a spur of the moment promotion or something like that. And if you're already good at doing email campaigns or social media campaigns or wherever you choose to do that, then it should not be like reinventing the wheel to just do another one. Like, hey folks, we thunderstorms all market long, we've got a great deal on tomatoes for you, or whatever the angle is. And so I'm sort of like you're saying, there's few levers that you can pull, either getting more customers or getting the customers that you already have to buy a little more. It seems like one of the things that can, we want to expand local farming is doing it on the digital landscape, right? Is that farmers 50 years ago didn't have email marketing campaigns and social media campaigns, and so it makes me realize how many more tools we have to do our marketing as long as we know how to use them now.
Yeah. And what's great about it is that a lot of them you can set up one time and then they turn into autoresponders. They just work behind the scenes automatically. That's how I've set up my business. So I'm really just pushing the flywheel a little bit, live every week. Most of the stuff is working behind the scenes. The digital, like the online pre-order space is booming right now. We use Local-Line as our platform. There are many other good ones, but the trend is moving more towards customers pre-ordering your produce before you even go to market. So you have a cutoff day. You need to order by this day. You train them. You send an email out. Here's what's available. And they order, you pack it, you bring it to the market or wherever, and they meet you there and they pick it up. And what's great about that is if you have a bad weather day, you've pre-sold it. They still have to come get it. And while they're there, this is the beauty. If you have an actual stand, guess what? They'll often buy again. So now you've just pulled that frequency lever and you've they've spent another $20. So if you are at all interested, I really encourage you to think about moving into the online pre-order space. I have farmers that are in farm marketing school who've told me, who kind of worked out a little bit of a hack where they bring a limited number of their most popular products to the actual farmers market. So I'm going to pick on like a meat producer now, but like they bring bacon is a hot item and everybody wants their bacon. Well, now they only bring like, I don't know, I think he said like 15, 20 pounds of bacon. And what he tells his customers, it was hard the first few times, but he's like, well, I have a ton of bacon, but I only have so much room in my truck. So you have to pre-order the bacon if you want to reserve the bacon, and I'll have it here for you. So now he's trained all these people so he had to say no to them, right? That first time, but then they were motivated because they want their bacon, darn it. So now they went in and created an account. They pre-ordered their bacon. While they were there, they ordered a bunch of other things, and now they've turned into an online customer. So sometimes you can move someone in that direction by creating a product that's very popular, limiting it on purpose from the live location, and then having to tell the person, I'm sorry, we're out, but if you want to reserve some, here's how you do it. I'll take your email right now.
Yeah. Here's I'll put you on the list. Here's how you find my online store. Yeah. Perfect. Well, that's great, because I feel like so many of these things are just knowing what to do. It's not super hard. It's just understanding the strategies.
Yeah.
And it's definitely not one of my strong suits. So I enjoy hearing about it. Well, I mean, speaking of that, I've enjoyed this conversation. I think there's a lot there for our listeners, and you've been very generous with your time. Is there anything else you want to say about promotion calendars or anything else we talked about today before we let you go?
Build one. Commit to doing it. Even if all you do is first quarter or the most important quarter of the year where you make the bulk of your money, maybe you can commit to doing that one and just test it out.
Yeah, there you go. Get started. Do it, people.
Yeah, I have a resource that can help people if you're kind of like after this conversation, your mind's spinning in all directions. One of the questions I often get from farmers is like, what kind of offers? Like, I struggle to sit down and come up with a creative offer. And so I have a guide that's very popular. It's like 30 ways to build an offer. It's like 4 or 5 pages, and it just lists them all, right? So it'll unlock your creativity. It's like variations of all the different kinds of offer formulas that businesses use to showcase their products, from like buy one, get one free to the weekly special, right? Those are 2 that are on that list, but there's a whole bunch of them like that. And I love using that. I have it here at my desk too, actually, because when I'm trying to build an offer, I'll forget what they even are. I'll forget what the options are. And I can just look at that list and be like, I should totally sell this product through that offer style. So if you want that guide, you can get it on my website at mydigitalfarmer.com/offer. It's free, and you can print it out and just use that to help you with your first promo campaign.
Yeah, I think I want that. Okay. Well, actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because if people are interested to learn more, you've got the My Digital Farmer podcast and all kinds of resources. I was checking that out over at MyDigitalFarmer.com. Do you want to just take a minute and tell us what kind of resources you offer there, or whatever you want to tell people about what you have there?
Yeah, I feel like the first step for most of you should be to listen to my podcast. If you are listening to this podcast, that means you're a podcast listener. So I would encourage you to go subscribe to my show. It's called the My Digital Farmer podcast. I think there are 285 episodes in there now. And I always tell people to start with the first 10 because I designed those to be an onboarding into the marketing space, and it's really going to teach you the lingo. But man, just scroll through and see what catches your eye. I've had farmers tell me they become binge listeners. You will learn so much about marketing just from listening to the free podcast. So it's called the My Digital Farmer podcast. I also offer coaching inside of Farm Marketing School, which is my online monthly membership that farmers, beginner and intermediate farmers, can join. You can just join for a month. You can join for 2 months, 4 months, whatever. And when you go inside Farm Marketing School, there's a crash course that teaches you kind of the basics of marketing, where you learn that framework that I talked about. And then you take an audit. So you audit your business, the sales funnel of your business, and you see what you have in place already that maybe you don't even realize, and then what's missing. And then the next step is to actually take the classes, whatever class you need to take in Farm Marketing School to fix some of those holes that are in your marketing funnel. So if you need to write an email sequence, you can take the project on email nurture sequence, and then they're designed to be like 30-day project builds. So you get it done. I show you, I have a teaching class about it. I have a template resource for you to use to get started. So that's kind of my signature product, is my Farm Marketing School coaching program. And I love it. And I have tons of farmers in there and we have a good time. So that's where I would go.
Cool. And I'm just curious, for your coaching program, is that like a weekly group session, or I'm just so curious about how these things work. How does that work?
We meet monthly over Zoom to kind of for accountability and just to, I do a little bit of coaching, but people can bring their questions or their concerns. I have a prompt question that we discuss. Some of the months I'll run a class live. So Farm Marketing School is set up so that there's over 15 workshops, on-demand workshops that are in there. So you can just kind of be very DIY and figure out, well, this is what I want to learn, what I want to build. I'll do it on my own. And then just show up for the Zoom call if you want to have community or ask a question. But I do periodically redo the classes that are in there. Like I update them and I'll deliver them live, and then people can come in on another Zoom call. We go through the whole session, a teaching session live, and then they can ask questions and I can offer some support there too. So that's sort of the format.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. I've actually had some good luck with some of those live sessions because, online courses are great. And sometimes you run into a question where you're just like, I don't know how this applies to me or whatever. And so I found that to be very handy.
Yeah. Well, people can always email me like that. They're always able to email me and ask me a question and I can answer them. So I'm available as a coach in that respect too. But we do have one guaranteed Wednesday every month where we meet. It's the third Wednesday of the month. That's our session time.
Cool. Okay, so we talked about your podcast. We talk about MyDigitalFarmer.com. Is there anywhere else you want people to find you online or on social media or wherever you want people to look you up?
They can go to Instagram at MyDigitalFarmer. I'm there as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Great. Well, thank you so much, Corinna. I've really enjoyed the conversation. I've learned a lot. I think our audience will too. So I really appreciate it. And good luck with Digital Farmer and good luck with Shared Legacy Farms this coming year.
Thank you. It was fun being here.
Okay, good. I enjoyed it too. Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Growing for Market podcast. If you've been enjoying the show, please consider giving us a follow and a rating or a review. It really helps others find the podcast. For more tips and tricks from farmer to farmer, check out our magazine at growingformarket.com. Whether you're a commercial grower or just want to grow like one, subscribe to Growing for Market magazine for the nitty-gritty of growing, marketing, and the business of market farming. We publish 10 issues per year with articles written by experienced farmers on topics ranging from tools and techniques to farm business operations and marketing. If you've been listening to the Growing for Market podcast and haven't yet checked out Growing for Market magazine, we've made a change so you can try the magazine for free. We've added a free month to the beginning of all first-time subscriptions. Try out the digital or paper magazine for a month, and if it's not for you, cancel within 28 days and you'll never even get billed. All subscriptions get you a year of the magazine, plus 150 downloadable back issues from the last 15 years and over 1,700 archived articles. With digital subscriptions starting at just $39 a year, head on over to growingformarket.com and subscribe today to benefit from over 3 decades of writing by farmers, for farmers, in Growing for Market magazine.